3 days after the typhoon passed, the sun finally pierced the long-lasting gloom. I sat by the floor, toe-ceiling window of my overseas apartment, holding the sleeping Anai in my arms, fingertips sliding over the messages from Uncle Zhang on my phone. The corner of my mouth barely smiled. I felt a thorough sense of relief in my heart. I had waited for this day, the day Guyan would wake up, whether for reconciliation or to see him fall from the clouds in a pitiful state. After 3 years of marriage, I, Shinsher, poured my heart and soul into taking care of him and managing the Gu family, only to be repaid with him flying with his mistress. Even the typhoon night when Shinsher and I nearly had an accident, he stayed with that woman. Now, he remembers to come looking for me. It's too late, long past too late. I had just put the phone down when Uncle Yen's video call came through. Uncle Zhang spoke in a lower voice. Madam, there's news from Miss Sue. Mr. Gu has gone to the villa and is at the door looking for you. I've connected Miss Sue online. If you'd rather not see him, we can at least listen to what's happening. I touched Nancy's soft hair and whispered, It's fine. Keep it on. I want to hear what he wants to say. The scene shifts to Suman's side. She's leaning against the villa door wearing a sharp suit with a hint of sarcasm on her face. Guan stands before her in a haute couture suit, his hair neatly combed as if the brutal indifference and ruthlessness of that typhoon night had never existed. His face is full of impatience and self-righteousness, as if waiting for me to obediently return and admit my fault. Guaning frowned, speaking arrogantly. Who are you? How are you in my house? Where is Shinxiu? Bring her out to meet me. Swan sneered, speaking at ease. My house. Guyan, aren't you afraid the typhoon blew your brain out of alignment? This villa is mine now. The property deed is in my hand. On what basis do you claim this is your home? You're talking nonsense. Guan's face sank, his eyes full of menace. He stepped forward to push the door. This is my Guaning's villa. Shinsher is my wife. You'd better get out or I'll call security. Sumin was not afraid at all. She directly pulled out the deed from her bag, slapped it on the stone table in front of Guyanin with a sharp snap, and said, Take a good look yourself. 3 days ago, Shinsher had already transferred this villa to me. The procedures are complete, legal, and compliant. If you don't believe it, you can go to the Housing Bureau and verify right now. Don't cause a scene here. Guanqing fixed his gaze on the property deed, his fingers trembling. He suddenly looked up, his eyes sweeping over Suman's phone camera, as if sensing something. He spoke coldly. Is Shinji inside? Did she tell you to come here to provoke me on purpose? Right. Put her on the phone. I want to talk to her. Some man picked up her phone, waved it at the camera, and said, What are you rushing for? Ju doesn't have time to meet you now, but there are people who want to say a few words to you. As she spoke, Sumin connected the three-way call, and Uncle Yen's voice immediately came through. His tone was calm, no longer the usual respect toward Guyan, only a sense of distance. Mr. Gu, long time no see. Gu Yanqin heard Uncle Yen's voice. His complexion changed again, and he said with disbelief, Uncle Zhang, where are you? How are you with her? Where exactly is Shinji? Hurry and bring her back. Uncle Zhang sat on the sofa in the overseas apartment, his posture straight, and said, Mr. Gu, I'm abroad with my wife, Miss Nancy, and Aunt Lee here. Wife will not come back, and she doesn't want to see you overseas. Guanqin staggered back a step, his eyes full of panic. Impossible. The typhoon has passed for only 3 days. How could she go overseas? Uncle Zhang, don't lie to me. Did Shinji tell you to say this? She's just sulking with me. Isn't she sulking? Uncle Yen's voice cooled a touch. Mr. Gu, if wife were really just sulking, she wouldn't have sold the villa, wouldn't have moved all of us abroad, and wouldn't have cut off all contact with you. You should think it over carefully. On the night of the typhoon, how dangerous wife and Miss Nancy were. Where were you? You were with Chinuro, aren't you? Speaking of the night of the typhoon, Guyayan, Chen's gaze flickered, but he still pretended to be calm and said, That was because Chinuro wasn't feeling well. I had to stay with her. I know Shinjiu is angry, but she can't be so willful and take the child overseas. Uncle Zhang, Please persuade her to come back. I'll never associate with Chinyu again, and I'll treat her and Nanchi well in the future. Unable to persuade, nor will I persuade, Uncle Jean directly refused, speaking with a solemn tone. I have followed the Gu family for decades, watching you grow up, and watching the Madame Mary in these 3 years. How much grievance has the Madame endured? Uncle Lee and I have seen it all with our own eyes. You are busy with Chinu's romantic trifles, forgetting that the Madame was pregnant with Ningxer and vomiting blood from morning sickness. Forgetting the day Ningxer was born when you stayed by Chinu's side. Forgetting the typhoon night when the Madame ran a high fever and Miss Niani had a high fever and convulsions. We went to the old residence to beg for help, but you wouldn't even answer the phone. Mr. Gu, you have wronged the Madame and wronged Miss Nanchi. It is you, not the Madame, who has wronged you. Gu Yanchen was dumbfounded by Uncle Zen's words, his face alternating between pale and flushed. He gritted his teeth enduring the pressure and said, I am Yanxi's father. Shu has no right to take her abroad. Uncle Zhang, give me her address. I want to go find her. Mr. Gu, don't waste your energy. Aunt Lee, carrying fruit, walked over and said to the camera, full of dissatisfaction in her tone, you didn't care about the lives of your wife and daughter-in-law back then, and now you want to find them. It's too late. Your wife had already blocked your contact information long ago, and the assets at home have been moved as well. Even if you want to find them, you won't be able to. Guan Guyanchen heard Aunt Lee's voice and collapsed even more. He knew Uncle Zhang and Aunt Lee had followed the Gu family for decades, always level-headed. If they said so, it meant Shinji was truly determined to leave and sever old ties with him. Just at this moment, I took the phone from Uncle Yen's hand, turned off the camera, leaving only the voice, calm yet with an undeniable resolve. Guyan, I'm not crazy. I just don't want to be involved with you in any way anymore. This villa has carried 3 years of my grievance and disappointment. I feel nauseated by it, so I'm selling it cleanly. Shinshio, Guyan's voice instantly rose, filled with incredulous anger. Do you know what you're doing? You took Yen Shu with you. Come back quickly and transfer the house back. I can let this pass without holding it against you. Hold it against me. I laughed, the laughter filled with coldness. Gu Yanking, who do you think you are to hold anything against me? On the night of the typhoon, I ran a fever. Yen, she had a high fever and convulsions. Her little face flushed red. I carried her in the old house, asked you for help, called you more than 10 times. Did you pick up? The one who picked up was Chin Yurua. She smiled and said you were accompanying her for a checkup, told me not to be rude, not to interrupt your good things at that time. Why didn't you think to hold something against me? Why didn't you think that Yan He and I were your wife and child? My words were like a knife stabbing straight into Guan's heart. His face instantly turned deathly pale. His lips moved, but he couldn't say a word. I continued, you didn't just realize you needed me after 3 days. You've been intimate with Chin Yuro long enough, and only then did you remember you have me as your wife, and you have Niang Shi as your daughter. Isn't that right? Gwinning, put away your hypocritical words. They make me sick to my stomach. I don't need your apology, nor your compensation. I just need to draw a clear line between us. From now on, the bridge is the bridge. The road is the road. And also, I paused, my tone even colder. This villa has already been sold. If you're standing here now, you are trespassing. If Suman reports to the police, you'll be in trouble for real. Don't ever come to us again. And don't harass Swan again, or I won't mind letting everyone know about Guyan's ugly deeds. Guanchin watched the villa's tightly shut door, then looked at the property deed on the stone table and listened to my icy voice on his phone. He finally realized that Shinsei had really left, really wanted to divorce him, really wanted to completely abandon him. He staggered back a step, his face full of despair and unwillingness, yet utterly helpless. Su Man looked at his pathetic state, snorted coldly, and said, Guyan, aren't you leaving yet? Don't stay here and be an eyesore. In the future, you won't be able to come here whenever you want. If you dare to entangle again, I'll have the lawyers see you directly. Guyan gritted his teeth. glaring at the phone camera as if he were going to swallow me alive. But in the end, he still didn't say anything else and turned away in a flustered, retreating manner. Watching his figure disappear at the street corner, I felt no ripple in my heart, only a sense of relief. Uncle Jang ended the video call, looked at me, and spoke in a concerned tone. "Ma'am, please don't be angry. Mr. Gu brought this on himself, and he will never bother you again." I hold she in my arms, gently patting her back and smile, saying, "I'm not angry. Uncle Xiang, you've worked hard, and Andy Lee as well. Please take care of Nenchi a bit more." Ali placed the cut fruit on the coffee table, smiling, and said, "Madam, please rest assured, Miss Nanchi is very well behaved, and we will take good care of her." Just as she rubbed against me in my arms and whispered softly, "Mom." I lowered my head and kissed her forehead, softly saying, "Nanchi, from now on, Mom will never let you suffer anymore. We are here living our own good days." I held Nanchi and leaned her against the sofa, my fingertips softly stroking the wispy hair at her temples. The sunshine outside fell onto the carpet, warm enough to melt ice and snow, yet my chest felt as if holding a block of ice, so cold it pierced to the bone. The sight of Guyan just now, his panicked look, was like a key that suddenly and unexpectedly opened the box of my heart I least wanted to touch. The night of that super typhoon 3 days ago, the night that almost swallowed me, and Nanchi resurfaced clearly before my eyes. At that time, the typhoon had just made landfall. Emergency alert texts kept popping up one after another. I had initially planned to take Nenchi back to the city villa, but Uncle Jean said the old house's doors and windows needed reinforcement, and at least said we should go back to pack some old things. I thought since we had a car, we could leave after finishing up. So I went to the old house with everyone. Who would have thought the typhoon would be stronger than forecast? Not even an hour after we arrived at the old house, violent wind and rain smashed down, bang bang, pounding on the windows, and the wooden frames of the old house creaked and rattled as if they would come apart at any moment. Not long after, suddenly, there was a sharp crack, and the whole old house went dark. The power lines were snapped by the wind. The room fell into pitch-black darkness in an instant. Only the lightning outside occasionally ripping the night sky, casting crooked shadows inside the room, frighteningly eerie. Worse, the old house, being dilapidated for years, actually leaked rain from the roof water, dripped down along the beams, quickly pulling into puddles. The living room floor swelled, and a cold chill seeped into the bones through the soles of the feet. I had a bit of a cold a few days ago, and when this chill hit me, my head instantly grew dizzy, my cheeks burning crazily, and my whole body felt soft as without bones. But I couldn't take care of myself because the child in my arms suddenly acted up. The 2-year-old girl suddenly started crying, holding on to my clothes with her small hands, her face flushed red, lips dry and cracked with fine lines while crying. Her body began to convulse, her tiny shoulders twitching, her eyes tightly shut, unable to even cry out, "Nianchi, my Nianchi." I held her, my hands trembling uncontrollably, the dizziness from the high fever making my vision swim, but I still clung to her tightly, my nails digging into my own arms. "Don't scare Mom. Don't scare Mom," at least stood by, anxious and tears streaming down, while she searched for a towel, dipped it in cold water to wipe Niani's forehead and hands and feet, choking back so she cried, "Uncle Jiang, Uncle Xiang, hurry and come over. Mrs. Convulsing. What should we do?" Uncle Jang was originally reinforcing the big gate in the yard when he heard the shout and rushed in at once, still gripping a hammer in his hand. Seeing Nanchi's appearance, his face went pale in an instant. He threw the hammer aside and crouched down. "Not good. It's a high fever with convulsions. We must rush to the hospital immediately. Take her to the hospital," I cried, my voice like a broken gong. "There's a typhoon outside the strong. The roads are blocked by trees. The car simply can't move." At that moment, there was only one thought in my mind, the need to find Guyan. He is the president of Gu Group. He has people and cars at his disposal, so no matter how strong the typhoon is, he'll surely have a way to save us. I trembled as I pulled out my phone. Rain still clung to the screen. My fingers stiffly pressed Guyan's number, calling again and again. The call rang over and over. No one answered. I called again. Still no answer. I dialed the 5th time, the 8th, the 10th, my fingers numb, my ears filled with busy signals, and the howling wind outside the window, like countless insects gnawing at my heart until I dialed the 13th time. The line finally connected. What came through the receiver was not Guyan's familiar voice, but Shin Yuro's coatish tone laced with a hint of deliberate sarcasm. Miss Shin, it's so late. Why do you keep calling to bother? Yawning. He's with me right now. He doesn't have time to talk to you. Chinuro. I snarled through gritted teeth, my teeth chattering with both pain and fury. Get Guanchin to answer the phone, now, immediately. Ninchi has a high fever and is convulsing. We're trapped in the old house. Please have him come rescue us. Oh, Miss Nanchi is sick. Chinuro laughed lightly, the sound as sharp as a needle stabbing my ears. What a big deal. A child fever isn't uncommon. You, as a mother, can't handle this small thing. You still want to trouble inching. Miss Chin, you're too useless, aren't you? This is not a small matter. She's convulsing. If we're any later, it will be too late. I roared, tears mixing with the rain on my face as they streamed down. I beg you, let Guanchin answer the phone. I beg you. It's too late and there's nothing we can do. Chinuro's voice grew more smug. Yenchin can't leave alone. My stomach hurts today. He has to accompany me to the hospital for a checkup. And besides, there's still his child in my belly. How could he abandon us? Mother and child. The child in the belly. These words struck like a bolt of lightning, crashing down on my head. I froze for several seconds, my mind a blank, even my breath forgotten. Guan not only accompanied her, she's carrying his child. What about me? I am his officially weed wife. Ningshi is his biological daughter, and we're trapped here with our lives at stake. Yet, he's keeping company with his mistress to go for a checkup. Miss Shin, I advise you to wake up and face reality. Shinyur's voice boasted with a winner swagger. Yenchin has long disliked you. If it weren't for Nyanshi, he would have divorced you long ago. Now I'm pregnant with the Gu family's child, and in the future, the position of Mrs. Gu will be mine. You pack your things and get out. Don't stay here and sully the place. Guanchin, Guyan Chin, you answer me. I cried into the phone like a madwoman. Are you there? Did you hear that? Nanny and I are dying here. Do you care about us at all? The other end of the line was silent for a few seconds. Then Guan Chen's cold and impatient voice came through, a voice like an ice pick stabbing straight into my heart. Shinjiu, have you had enough trouble? Yuro is pregnant and can't be provoked. Stop calling to bother us. If Niani runs a fever, let Uncle Jang figure it out. You're her mother. You can't even handle the small thing. What else can you do? I stood there dazed, my whole body as if the blood in it froze in an instant. So he was really nearby. So he knew everything. But he would rather protect the mistress and the one in her belly than care about my inunous life and death. After 3 years of marriage, I poured my heart out for him, managed the household for him, bore his children, and this is what I got in return. One sentence. Have you had enough trouble? At that moment, all the loves, grievances, and hopes shattered so completely that not a trace remained. Only a bone-deep chill spread from my feet to my head, freezing my heart solid. Gu yanking, I clung to the convulsing thoughts with an unusual calm in my voice, a calm that even I found unfamiliar. I shinji you. From now on will never beg you again. My and Nanchi's lives have nothing to do with you. You and Chinuro, go your own ways. After saying that, I suddenly pressed the end call and slammed the phone to the ground with a crack. The screen shattered into 1,000 pieces, just like my heart, wounded by him in 1,000 cuts. Madam, Uncle Jang and Aunt Lee were scared out of their wits and hurried over to support me. Uncle Jang, Aunt Lee. I drew a deep breath, tamping down the choking in my throat, and my gaze suddenly grew incredibly firm. We cannot wait, and we cannot rely on him, even if it costs us everything. We must send Ningshi out. Take her to the hospital. Uncle Jean looked at me, then at Nshi in my arms, whose breath was faint and he nodded heavily with a look of unwavering determination in his eyes. Okay, madam, you rest assured. I'll shoulder it. I'll shoulder miss to the hospital. Aunt Lee, you support madam. Wrap a raincoat around you and we'll go. That night, Uncle Jang found a thick raincoat to wrap Nancy, then place me and Aunt Lee in the middle and braving the fierce wind and rain headed toward the hospital. The road outside was blocked by fallen branches and debris. The flood water reached waist deep, and every step was extraordinarily difficult. The ferocious wind toppled us several times. The heavy rain hit our faces, stinging as if we were slapped, but none of us stopped. I leaned on Aunt Lee, running a fever, my consciousness fuzzy, yet I tightly clutched Nenshi and Uncle Jang's arms, and there was only one thought in my mind, and she must not come to harm. We must stay alive. We barely managed to get to the hospital, and Nenshi was immediately rushed into the emergency room. I, due to a high fever that wouldn't break, passed out directly. When I woke up, it was already dawn. The typhoon had abated somewhat, and she lay on the small bed beside me. Her face had recovered a bit of color. Uncle Jang and Aunt Lee were watching by the bedside, their eyes red from exhaustion, bloodshot, watching my daughter peacefully asleep on the sick bed. I gently brushed her small face, and tears fell silently. In that moment, I vowed in my heart, Guyan, since you are so heartless, don't blame me for being unjust. All that I have sacrificed for you these 3 years. I will take back bit by bit what you owe me in Nanchi. I will collect bit by bit as well. I, Shinji, am no longer the clinging vulner who spun around you. I will take Nshi, Uncle Jang, and Aunt Lee and completely leave you to live our own days. From that day on, I had Uncle Jean quietly handle the marital assets, asked Swan to help transfer the villa, and had someone expedite the overseas procedures. I want to leave completely clean, not a trace left behind so that Guyan, even if he regrets, won't find a trace of us. Mom, Nancy's small hand gently touches my cheek, pulling me back from my memories. She blinked her bright eyes and whispered, Dad is bad. If you don't save Anai, Enchi doesn't want Dad. I lowered my head and kissed her small hand, holding her tightly, and whispered softly, Okay, we don't want Dad. From now on, Mommy, Grandpa Shang, and Grammarly will all be with Nenshi, and we won't let Neenshur be wrong again. Ali came over with porridge, smiling, and said, Ma'am, Miss Nanchi must be hungry. Eve cooked millet porridge. Quickly feed her a bit. Uncle Jang also walked over holding his phone, his tone a bit relieved. Now, Miss Suja sent a message saying, Mr. Gu came back and had a quarrel with Chinuro, and I heard Mr. Gu even pushed Chinuro once. The two of them are at odds. Hearing Uncle Jean say that Guyan and Chinuro were quarreling, the hand I used to feed Yanni the porridge paused, the smile at the corner of my mouth fading a little. Not exactly satisfying, but I feel this is what they deserve. After all, a dog eats dog show is just beginning. Nenshi sipped the porridge, small mouthful by small mouthful, and her small brows frowned a bit as she muttered, Mom, the porridge is sweet. I touched her head and smiled. If it's sweet, drink a bit more. After you finish, Mommy will take you to the balcony to see the birds, at leering the bowls and chopsticks, smiling as she replied, Madam, you're the one with the plan. Miss Nanchi usually doesn't drink porridge much, but today she drank a small half bowl. Uncle Jean then sat on the sofa, holding a black file bag, his expression serious as he said, Madam, there is something I need to tell you. Actually, before the typhoon night, I already sensed that Mr. Gu was not right, so I kept a lookout in advance. My heart stirred. I set the porridge bowl down, sat next to Miss Nanchi, and said, Uncle Jang, go ahead. Uncle Jang handed the file bag to me and said, Inside are the evidence of Mr. Gu and Chin Yuro's affair and records of him secretly moving marital assets. There are photos and videos of them going to hotels and transfer receipts showing him buying a house for Chin Yuro and transferring money. There are even details showing he embezzled funds from the Gu Group to cover Chinner's extravagant spending. I've been collecting all this for half a year. I thought if Mr. Gu would change his mind, I wouldn't need to bring it out. but now it seems there's no need to keep it. I took the file bag heavy in my hands and opened it to find it truly filled to the brim. In the photos, Guanchin was holding Chiniro's hand, smiling gently in a way I had never seen in the 3 years I was married to him. In the transfer records, amounts of hundreds of thousands or millions appeared. Shocking to behold. He wouldn't even buy me a piece of jewelry, yet he's so generous with Chiniro and embezzlement details. Every entry was remembered clearly, enough to ruin his reputation at the Gu Group. Uncle Jiang, I looked at him, feeling both warmth and ache, not expecting him to have done so much for me. Quietly, Uncle Jean waved his hand and said earnestly, "Madam, please don't say that. I followed the Gu family for decades, and the old lady when she was alive told me to take good care of you. In these 3 years, you've treated me and Aunt Lee like family, never looking on us as outsiders. When Miss Nancy was born, you even increased our wages and sent things to our home. We remember this debt in our hearts. Mr. Gu owes you and Miss Nancy an apology. We cannot stand by and watch him bully you." Aunt Lee tidied up the dishes and walked over, her eyes red. She said, "Yes, madam, when you were bearing Miss Nancy in your womb, you suffered from severe morning sickness, eating and vomiting everything. But Mr. Gu came home only rarely. You bore it all yourself. When Miss Nancy ran a fever in the middle of the night, it was you and us who stood guard. He never bothered. We've long been unable to watch in silence. It's just that you hadn't said anything before, and we didn't dare to speak up, so we could only secretly keep an eye out for you." Then Lee took a small box from her own room and handed it to me. "Madam, these are the jewelry your old madam gave you when you married into the Gu family, and the private savings you've saved up over these years. I've kept them for you, not daring to put them in the Gu family villa for fear Mr. Gu would take them away. Also, your passport, Miss Nancy's birth certificate, and other important documents. I've sorted all of them out and kept them in this box." I took the small box, opened it, and found the jewelry neatly arranged along with a bank card. Looking at these things, my nose tingled and tears nearly spilled over. In the 3 years of the Gu family, I had thought I was alone and unsupported, but I never expected the most reliable people to be Uncle Jean and Aunt Lee, 2 outsiders. "Thank you, Uncle Jean, Aunt Lee." My voice choked a little. "With you here, I'm really so relieved. Ma'am, please don't be courteous. This is all part of what we should do." Uncle Jiang said, "Actually, I've already arranged a lawyer for you, a well-known divorce lawyer abroad who specializes in cross-border divorce cases. I've also transferred your assets in batches to your overseas accounts. Everything is legal and compliant. Even if Mr. Gu tries to investigate, he won't find the source. As for some of Gu's partners, they are connections from when the old madam was influential, and I've already informed them if anything happens to Mr. Gu, they will all stand on your side." I looked at Uncle Jiang, and the more I listened, the more confident I became. So, he had already laid out a fallback plan for me long ago. No wonder my overseas procedures and asset transfers went so smoothly. He had been quietly taking care of things behind the scenes. "Uncle Jiang, you've thought this through too thoroughly." I took a deep breath, suppressing the emotions in my heart, and my gaze grew firm. "Since Guanchin is so heartless, we don't need to leave him any room. You help me contact a lawyer. Start the divorce lawsuit tomorrow. I want to fight for Nancy's custody, and I want Guanchin to be completely out of the house. I'll take back every penny of the marital assets he transferred. I'll expose his embezzlement of company funds and his infidelity, make sure everyone knows, and ruin his reputation." "Great, madam. I've been waiting for you to say that." Uncle Jen's eyes flashed with relief. "I'll message the lawyer now, send him all these pieces of evidence, and have him hurry up and prepare the complaint." Aunt Lee also spoke up. "Madam, don't worry. Leave the family matters to us, and we will take good care of Miss Nancy, so you can have no worries. You just focus on suing Mr. Gu. We all support you." Nanny seemed to sense something, stretched out her small hand, and hugged my neck, quietly saying, "Mom, don't be afraid. Nancy will protect you." I lowered my head and kissed her little face, smiling. "Good Nshi, You are the bravest. You will protect Mommy. Sunlight streamed in through the glass door of the balcony, falling onto us, warm and soothing. I held Nanny, looking at Uncle Zhang and Utley beside me, my heart filled with strength. I know I am no longer fighting alone. I have Nshi, Uncle Zhang, Aunt Lu, and Swan, a good friend. I will surely win this battle and completely get rid of Guyan. Uncle Zhang took out his phone at this moment, operating it as he spoke. Ma'am, I've already sent a portion of Mr. Gu's embezzlement of public funds to the old master of the Gu family. The old master values the Gu family's reputation the most, and he also loves Miss Shea deeply when he sees these pieces of evidence. He will definitely be angry. By then, the Gu family will fall into internal chaos first, and Mr. Gu will have even less time to trouble us. I nodded and said, Well done. Lord Gu has always been fair, knowing that Guyan did these things. He certainly won't let him off easily. Actually, I had anticipated it for a long time. Once Guyan's affair and embezzlement of public funds get exposed to the old man, he certainly won't be able to escape punishment. The Gu family is a prestigious aristocratic clan that values face above all else, and Guan's actions are basically slapping the Gu family in the face. How could the old man tolerate it? Uncle Zhang put down his phone and said, Madam, the lawyer has replied they will submit the complaint tomorrow and apply for property preservation with the court to prevent Mr. Gu from transferring assets again. In addition, the lawyer said that with these pieces of evidence, it's almost guaranteed to win the custody of Miss Nanny and ensure Mr. Gu leaves with nothing. Well, you've worked hard, Uncle Jean, I said with a smile. After this is over, I'll take you all traveling around the world to relax properly. Madam, you're too kind. We're already satisfied just to be with you, Aunt Lee said with a smile, as long as we can see you and Miss Nancy. Well, that's enough for us. I picked up Ningxia and stood up, walking to the balcony edge, looking at the blue sky and white clouds outside, feeling immensely relieved. Guanchen, do you think I'm just carrying Nancy and running away? You're wrong. I will not only leave, I will also take away everything that belongs to me, and I will make you pay for what you have done. Aren't you most concerned about the president position of Gu Group? Aren't you most concerned about your reputation? I will stubbornly take your position and ruin your reputation completely. I want you to know that betraying me, Shinji, abandoning me, and Nanchi was the most wrong decision you've ever made in this life. Then, at that moment, Uncle Yen's phone rang. It was Suman calling. Uncle Jean took the call, listened to a few words, and a relieved smile appeared on his face. After hanging up, he said to me, Ma'am, Miss Su says that after old master Gu saw the evidence, he was so enraged that he was hospitalized on the spot. Now the Gu family is in chaos. Mr. Gu is being scolded by the elders in the hospital, and Chinyuro also went over to try to curry favor with the old man, but was driven out by the second Madame Gu. A cold smile curved at the corners of my lips. Very good. The Gu family is embroiled in internal strife. Qin Yuru has fallen from power. Gu Yaning is beset on all sides. This is exactly the outcome I want. Let them make a scene, I said softly. Well, just wait to watch the show. Ningxia in my arms pointed at the birds in the sky, excitedly shouting, Mama, bird, so many birds. I looked in the direction she pointed, and a flock of little birds was freely flying in the sky, sunlight shining on them, exceptionally dazzling. The old master of the Gu family was so angry that he admitted defeat in the hospital. Gu Yanqing was surrounded by a group of elders at the hospital, being scolded one after another. Qing Yuru moved closer to speak, but before she could approach the hospital room, Guyan's second aunt, also the second wife of the Gu, pushed her away in public, scowling and calling her a Ganti, a flirt and a bad omen, and she was driven out. Chiniro stood in the hospital corridor, the breeze blowing, the loose dress clinging to her body, making her look especially miserable. She clenched her fists, nails digging into the flesh, feeling both angry and anxious. She had thought that getting pregnant with the Gu family seed would make her a mother by virtue of her son. But now the old master was in the hospital. Guyanin was scolded. and everyone in the Gu family looked at her with displeasure. If Gu Yanqin wouldn't protect her, she would really have nothing at all. No, she cannot just let it go like this. But her lip and a bright idea popped into her head immediately. Gu Yanqing is currently irritable and surely wouldn't want to stay in the hospital. Maybe he'll return to the villa. She had to go to the villa to block him, make a big fuss about the pregnancy, force Guanchen to give her an explanation, even if it meant moving into the villa first and taking the position of the madam of the Gu family. With that thought, Qin Yuro immediately hailed a taxi, provided the address of the Gu family villa, and on the drive, she deliberately fixed her hair, pulled out her loose dress, and stuck out her belly to feign a very pregnant look. But she didn't know that the villa had long ceased to belong to the Gu family, and the current owner was Sumin. Sumin happened to be in the villa today, tidying up, thinking of sending some personal belongings left behind abroad. She had just packed the items when she heard the knock at the door. "Who is it?" Sumin set down the box in her hand and walked over to answer the door. When the door opened, Qin Yuro stood in the doorway wearing a deliberately coy smile, her belly pushed out as if she were in high spirits. Swan frowned slightly, speaking coldly. "Miss Qin, what are you doing here?" Chinuro sized up Swan from head to toe, noticing she was in casual clothes and still tidying things away. Her brow immediately furrowed and she spoke with a harsh tone. "Who are you? Why are you in my house? Get out at once." "Your house?" Sumin seemed to hear a colossal joke, sneering as she leaned against the doorframe. "Qin Yuro, you might have been kicked out of the Gu family, and your mind isn't clear, is it? This villa is mine now. The property deed is in my hand. Where do you get the nerve to say it's your home?" "I can't." Qin Yuri's expression changed. She stepped forward, ready to barge in. "This is Guyan's villa, my future home. I'm carrying the Gu family seed. This is my place. Move aside quickly, or I'll be rude to you." Sumin stepped forward to stop her, eyes filled with scorn. "Carrying the Gu family seed? Qin Yuro, you really dare say that? How could I not know where the child in your belly comes from? An illusory pregnancy test, bought to deceive people." Chinura's face went pale at once. Her gaze flustered for a moment, but she still forced a calm answer. "You're talking nonsense. I'm really pregnant, with a hospital pregnancy test as proof. Don't go around slandering me here." "Pregnancy test," Sumin sneered, turning to pick up a file bag from the coffee table in the living room and threw it in front of Chinuro. "Is this what you mean? Miss Qin, please make sure you read it clearly. This is the fake pregnancy test you bought last month at a private hospital, plus the transfer records of you paying the hospital nurses, and even the chat records of you contacting a middleman to inquire how to falsify the pregnancy report. All of it is here." Cairo instinctively stepped back, looking at the file bag, trembling all over. She never expected that her forged pregnancy test would be found out so clearly and that evidence would be obtained. "No, this isn't real. You forged it," Cairo screamed, trying to push the file bag away. "If you want to snatch my things, want to harm me, I won't believe you, whether it is forged or not. You know it in your heart." Sumin's eyes were cold, her tone sharp. "You think you can fool Guyan with a fake pregnancy test and secure the position of Mrs. Gu and the Gu family. Cairo, you are too naive." While the two were arguing, Guyan's car stopped at the villa gate. He had just come from the hospital, scolded by the elders until his head was about to explode, hoping to return to the villa for some quiet. He didn't expect to walk in and find Cairo and Swan quarreling so fiercely. "What are you doing?" Guyan frowned, his tone irritable. When Qin Yuro saw Guyan, she looked like a lifeline had been found. She rushed over, grabbing his arm, and cried plaintively, "Yanchen, you're here. Sumin is bullying me. She's occupying our villa, and she even forged evidence, saying I'm carrying a fake baby." Quickly helped me teach her a lesson. Guyan was already troubled, and Chinura's outburst only made him more impatient. But seeing her tearful appearance and thinking of her pregnant, his tone softened a bit. Man, what exactly do you want to do? This is between me and Yuro. Don't get involved." "Get involved." Sumin raised an eyebrow, picked up the file bag, and handed it to Guyaning. "Guyaning, you should take a look yourself. This is evidence that your precious little third party forged the prenatal test report. It's not me getting involved. She's been lying to you all along. Guanqin took the file bag with a puzzled look, opened it, and what was inside photos, transfer records, chat messages, was self-evident. In the photos, Qingguo secretly stuffing money to a hospital nurse. In the transfer records, she paid the agency a forgery fee. In the chat records, she clearly told the agency to forge a pregnancy test report showing 2 months and deliberately reminded to use a legitimate hospital template. Looking at this evidence, Guyan's expression gradually darkened, the irritation in his eyes turning into cold anger. He suddenly shook off Chinuro's hand and said sternly, "Chinuro, what exactly is going on? Tell me clearly." Chinuro was shoved by him and staggered, nearly falling. Looking at Guyan's cold eyes, she grew more and more panicked, stammering, "Yanqin, I didn't mean to. I just love you too much. I'm afraid of losing you. So that's why I resorted to this drastic measure. Please forgive me. Okay, I won't dare again in the future. Do you love me too much?" Guyan sneered, his tone filled with mockery and disappointment. "The love you claim to have is to deceive me with a fake pregnancy. Do you know that the old master nearly died in the hospital because of you? Do you know that because of you, I've been scolded by the elders in the family to the point of humiliation? Shinuro, you're really something. I didn't mean to. I didn't expect things to turn out this way." Chinguro cried, then reached out to pull Byansing's arm. "Yanqin, I know I'm wrong. Can you give me another chance? I'll be good from now on. I won't lie to you again. Get out of my sight." Guaning shoved her away, his eyes filled with disgust. "I must have been blind to trust a woman like you. Fake pregnancy, deceiving money and emotions. What else can you not do?" Chiniro was pushed to the ground, looking at Gu Yanqing with unhidden contempt in his eyes. She finally panicked, realizing she had really messed up this time. She lay on the ground crying, "Yanqin, I'm sorry. I really am sorry. Don't abandon me. I can't live without you. Whether you have me or not is none of your business." Guan's tone was icy. "From today, we are squares with each other. I will have the lawyers settle with you for every penny you took in every item you bought and return it all to me. Also, you forged the pregnancy test to deceive me and disrupt the Gu family. I didn't call the police to arrest you. I've already been extremely merciful." After finishing, Guanqin no longer glanced at her, turning to look at Su Man, his voice urgent. Man, I know I was wrong. Tell me, where is Ju? I want to see her. I want to apologize to her. I want to make amends with her in Yanqi." Su Man looked at him, scoffing faintly, her tone cold. "Guyan, you only know to apologize now. What took you so long? Jo doesn't want to see you, nor does she want to hear any news about you. You should give up this idea for good. The moment you find her, she won't forgive you. I know I was a bastard before. I know I hurt her in Yanqi." Guanqin gripped his hair, his voice full of remorse. "But I really know I was wrong. I will treat the mother and daughter well from now on, and I will never have any involvement with Chiniro again. Man, please tell me Joe's address." "Okay, I told you. I don't know. Some man turned to go into the house. Also, this villa is mine now. It would be best if you and your ex-girlfriend hurry and disappear from my doorstep. Don't be an eyesore here, otherwise I'll call the police." Guan looked at Swan's resolute back, then at Chiniro, still crying on the ground. He felt anger, regret, and a strong sense of anxiety. He knew Swan would not tell him the whereabouts of Shinjiu, and he himself didn't even know where Shinji was. Chiniro, seeing Guyan ignore her and Su Man about to close the door, hurriedly got up, trying to pounce forward again to pull Guyan back, but was coldly glared at by Guyan. "If you dare come over again, I won't be polite." Chinuro was scared into stopping, looking at Guyan's icy eyes, and finally fell into complete despair. She knew this time she had really lost Guyan, lost all her support. Guyan no longer looked at her, turned toward his own car, and walked away. He now had only one thought: to find Shinji, no matter the cost. He would find her and beg for her forgiveness. Chinuro looked at Guyanense's resolute back, then glanced at the tightly closed villa door, and finally couldn't help but squat on the ground. breaking into a loud cry. She had gone to great lengths to climb the social ladder and become the Gu family's young madam, only to end up in such a situation, trading a chicken for nothing. Indeed, meanwhile, in a foreign apartment, Uncle Jang was holding his phone, telling Shinshir everything that happened in the villa. Madam Miss Su just sent a message saying Chinuro went to the villa to make a scene and she was exposed for faking pregnancy on the spot. Mr. Gu was there as well and turned against Chinuro on the spot, even saying they should settle accounts with her. Uncle Jean said with a smile, I was playing with blocks on the carpet with Nancy, and after hearing this, I only nodded lightly, not stopping the movement in my hands, and spoke calmly. Got it. Aunt Lee stood to the side and smiled, saying, Ma'am, look, Chinuro deserves it. She tried to rely on a fake pregnancy to swindle money and affection, and in the end, she was exposed, ending with a ruined name and reputation. I pat Nai's head and smiled. She brought this on herself. She has no one to blame but herself. Gu Yenning has been fooled for so long and still doesn't realize it. How foolish to me. Chinro's ending is only a small beginning. Gu Yenning only now knows regret and wants to apologize to me. But it's too late. I will let him understand that some harms once caused can never be repaired. Some mistakes once made must pay a price. Uncle Jean looked at me and said, Ma'am, Mr. Gu is surely anxious to see you now. Don't worry. I've hidden your whereabouts very well. Even if he digs 3 feet into the ground, he won't find you. I nodded, my gaze firm. Let him look. The taste of not finding it is unpleasant. This is just a small part of what he owes me. Ninchi held up a pink block, handed it to me, and smiled. Mom, the blocks are pretty. I took the block and placed it on the castle, smiling. Beautiful. Ninshir is the best. The sunlight spilled onto the carpet, reflecting our smiling faces. Time was peaceful, and Gu Yenqing, his anxiety and remorse were just beginning to ferment. Guyan left the villa and drove straight back to Gu. He locked himself in the president's office, his face as gloomy as if water could drip from it. The documents on his desk swept to the floor. The entire office was filled with a heavy, oppressive atmosphere. Assistant Linga stood at the door, not daring to take a breath. He had long heard that Chiniro's fake pregnancy had been exposed and the old master hospitalized in anger, and he knew the president was currently furious. And more importantly, he knew what he wanted to do most now was to find Mrs. Xu. Come in. Guyan's voice was cold and hoarse, thick with punitive fury. Lin Zhou quickly pushed the door open, bent to pick up the scattered documents, carefully placed them on the desk, and whispered, President, you're looking for me. Get me a search. Guanqing suddenly stood up, pointing at the door, his tone urgent and angry. Use all connections to find out S whereabouts. She took Niani abroad. Search for which country, which city, where she lives, even if I have to dig 3 feet. Find her for me. Yes. President Linho did not dare to delay and nodded in agreement immediately. I'll go arrange it now. Contact a private detective. Check entry and exit records, airport flight information, and your wife's past connections. We'll find your wife's whereabouts as soon as possible. One more thing, Guyan added. Check Shinshi's bank account. She sold the villa. There will definitely be money coming in. Trace the account transactions and also the assets she transferred. Clear all of it for me. Understood. Linzhou acknowledged, then quickly turned to go arrange things. Gining sat in the office chair, both hands grabbing his hair, feeling regret and urgency at once. He only now realized that Shinji was truly determined to leave him. She had not only taken Yenshir, taken the assets, but also blocked his back road completely. If he couldn't find her, he would really lose them, mother and daughter. He took out his phone, scrolled through the contacts, hoping to find someone who knew Shin Xiao or had relations with her to ask for information. But when he called, either the call was directly hung up or the tone was pre-functor, saying they didn't know. President Gu, I'm really sorry. I haven't contacted Miss Hin recently. I don't know her whereabouts. President Gu, you'd better not ask me anymore. I don't know, and I don't dare interfere with your matters. President Gu, since Miss Hin doesn't want to see you, you should stop finding her. Let her go, and let yourself go as well. These words were like needles, piercing Gu Yan's heart one by one. He finally realized that those who used to revolve around him, flatter him, all now avoided him because of his infidelity and the old man's illness. And no one was willing to help him find Shinji. On the other side, the private detectives arranged by Linho along with the company staff worked all day but found nothing at all. In the evening, Linjo hurried back to the president's office, his face pale as he said, "President, we can't find anything. We can't find a single thing. Can't find anything." Guan suddenly raised his head, his eyes cold as he looked at him. "I've supported you for so long, and you can't even locate one person. Tell me, how could you fail to find anything?" "President, we checked all entry and exit records, airport flight information, even the routes of private planes. There's no record of Madam or Miss Nanchi leaving the country." Linjo lowered his head, speaking cautiously. "It seems as if they disappeared into thin air with no trace at all. Also, Madam's bank accounts. The old accounts have already been closed, and we can't locate the new one. The marital assets have been transferred in batches to overseas anonymous accounts, and the origin cannot be traced. No way." Guyan slammed the table, shouting. "She left the country with Nanchi along with Uncle Zhang and Aunt Li. For people went abroad together. How could there be no exit records? You must have investigated too lightly. Look again. Keep investigating for me. We really did investigate carefully." Director Lingo's tone carried resignation. "We also asked the immigration authorities. They said there are no related records, as if someone deliberately erased their exit information, and those assets were transferred very professionally. It's obvious there's a professional lawyer and financial team handling it. We can't find any clues at all." Guanqing slumped in his executive chair, his eyes full of disbelief and despair. He knew that having such capability to erase exit records and to transfer assets so cleanly, surely Uncle Zhang was behind it. Uncle Zhang has been with the Gu family for decades, knows many people, has broad connections, and is familiar with the Gu family's operations to achieve these things. It's not difficult for him. Also, Director Linjo hesitated but spoke up. "We contacted those partners who previously had good relations with Mrs. and the connections left by the old madam. They either don't answer the phone or say they don't know. I heard that before leaving the country, Uncle Zhang specifically sought them out, greeted them, and told them not to help you find the missus, nor to have any business dealings with you." Uncle Zhang. Guanqin gritted his teeth, furious and resentful, but more than anything, filled with regret. He never expected that the housekeeper he had trusted all along would treat him this way. He also never expected that his past actions would cause everyone to side with Shinji. At that moment, Guyan's phone rang. It was his cousin Guminga calling. Guyaning picked up the phone and said in a tired voice, "Hello, Bro Yenchin. Where are you right now?" Guminga's voice carried a touch of mockery. "Do you know that you've become a laughingstock in the circle? Cheating and getting duped by a mistress, making the old man sick. Your wife and kids ran off, assets moved, and several important partners in the company want to terminate cooperation. You really are something." "I know." Guyan's voice was low, full of powerlessness. "Brother, do you have any news about Jiao? Can you help me find her?" "Find her?" Gu Minga sneered. "Inqing, wake up. If she wanted you to find her, she wouldn't have left so cleanly. How you treated her before we all saw it. She endured so many grievances. Now she's finally free. Don't bother her anymore. And the old master is still in the hospital. The elders at home are waiting for you to come back and admit your fault. You should first think about how to keep your position as president and stop thinking about finding Xiao." After speaking, Ginga hung up the phone. Gu Yening held the phone, the words of Gingu still echoing in his ears, and a chill spread through his heart. He knew Gingu was right. He was barely holding himself together. How could he go look for Shinshur? The company's partner wants to terminate the cooperation. The old man is so angry that he was hospitalized. The seniors at home are dissatisfied with him. Shinjiu took the child and assets and ran away. Shin Yurairo was abandoned by him as well. He has really become a lone wolf now. "President, There's one more thing. Linjo spoke again. Miss Chin just called you several times and came to the company to find you, but was blocked downstairs by security. She said she has something very important to tell you. Get her out. Guanchin's tone was icy, his eyes filled with disgust. I don't want to see her again, and I don't want to hear any of her news if she dares to come to the company to make trouble again. Just call the police. Understood. Linjo acknowledged and hurriedly backed out. Only Guaning remained in the office, and it was terrifyingly quiet. He walked to the floor to ceiling window, watching the endless stream of cars below, his heart full of regret. He thought of the time when Shinji married him, her gentle smile. He thought of Nien's birth, holding his little daughter, his heart full of joy. He thought of how Uncle Jang and Aunt Li cared for him and of the old madam's instructions to him. But what about him? He had ruined all of this. He betrayed Shinjiu, neglected Nanchi, hurt Uncle Zhang and Aunt Li, and enraged the old man. Now, he had landed at this point, and it was all his own doing. Yet, he still wasn't willing to give up. He still wanted to find Shinji, to ask for her forgiveness, to make amends for her in Shi. Gu Yanking pulled out his phone and scrolled to Shinji's number once more. Although he knew she had already blocked him, he could not help but dial. The call's response was still the cold reminder. The number you dialed is out of service. Please try again later. He kept dialing again and again, and listening to that dialing tone over and over until the phone ran out of power and shut itself off at that moment in a foreign apartment. I was sitting with Niani on the balcony under the sun when Uncle Jean walked over with a phone in his hand, a trace of a smile on his face. Madam, Miss Su just sent a message saying, Mr. Gu dispatched a lot of people to search for you, even hired private detectives, but they found nothing. They're panicking like ants on a hot pot. Also, several key partners of the Gu Group have terminated their cooperation with them, and the Gu Group is now facing a big crisis. Uncle Jang said with a smile. I held Nanchi in my arms, softly, patting her back, and spoke in a calm voice. Understood. If he wants to check, let him check. After all, he won't find anything. The termination of partnerships is his own doing, not someone else's fault. Aunt Lee walked over with fruit, smiling and saying, Madam, look at Mr. Nye. He is truly abandoned by everyone, left alone. This is the fate of someone who betrayed you. I stroked Nanchi's head and smiled. This is just the beginning. He owes me. He owes Nanchi. He also owes the Gu family. All of it will be paid back little by little. And she nuzzled in my arms, softly saying, Mom, Nanchi wants to eat an apple. Okay, Mom will peel an apple for you. I took the apple handed to me by Aunt Lei, picked up the vegetable knife, and began to peel slowly. The sunshine is warm and gentle, shining on us, and time feels peaceful. I know Bianin must be very anxious and remorseful right now, but so what? When he ignored me and Yanchi in the past, why didn't he think about today? Some paths, once you go wrong, you can never return. Some people once harmed can never be redeemed. Guyaning, this is the path you chose yourself. You must walk it to the end, even if it is full of thorns. Uncle Jean looked at me and said, Ngang, Mr. Gu certainly won't let this rest easily now. He will keep looking for you. You can rest assured. I will keep an eye on his movements and won't let him trouble you or Miss Nanchi. I nodded with a firm tone. Let him come after us. The taste of not finding will make him suffer even more. We just need to live our own days. Well, now, after finishing, I cut the peeled apples into small pieces and handed them to Nianchi. She held a small fork and ate in small bites, a sweet smile blooming on her face. Looking at her smiling face, a surge of strength filled my heart. I knew that as long as Nanchi was here, and Uncle Jang and Etli were here, I had nothing to fear, and Guyan, his troubles were still to come. Guyanin had been sitting in the office in a daze all night. Just before dawn, he received a call from the second grandpa of the Gu family, whose tone was ice cold, ordering him back to the old manor immediately for a family meeting. He understood clearly that this would surely be about the old man's hospitalization and his own embezzlement of public funds and accountability that was inevitable. He rubbed his temples that felt swollen and forced himself to stay alert. changed into a relatively formal suit, and drove to the Gu family's old residence. Along the way, his heart churned with nerves, fearing questions from the elders, yet clinging to a glimmer of luck, hoping to receive the family's forgiveness and preserve his position as the president of the Gu group. As soon as the car stopped at the gate of the old house, he could feel the oppressive atmosphere. In the courtyard of the old house stood many of the Gu family's elders, each with a sullen face. When they saw him coming, their eyes were full of dissatisfaction and disdain, and no one even greeted him. Gunin clenched his fists and forced himself to walk in. In the living room, Grandpa sat in the main seat with a hard, pale face. Madam, Uncle, Third, and Cousin Gingu were all seated nearby. Grandpa, Uncle, Third, Guan whispered softly and carefully found a corner to sit down. Who told you to sit there? Grandfather, Second, suddenly slammed the table, his voice loud and filled with anger. Guan, you still know to come back. You still know this is the Gu family's old residence. You've brought shame to the Gu family. Guan's body froze. He quickly stood up, lowered his head, and said, Grandpa, I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have made the old man angry. I shouldn't have done those foolish things. Foolish things. Madam, Second spoke coldly, her tone sharp. Do you call that foolish? That's cruel beyond measure. You let Jay marry you for 3 years. You've bled for you, given you children, managed the household. And what have you done? You kept a mistress outside and even helped the mistress cheat the family of money, even embezzled company funds. Do you deserve Xiao? Do you deserve Niani? Do you deserve the old man? Do you deserve the Gu family? Gayan Chin opened his mouth as if to argue, but when the words reached his lips, he found himself unable to refute. Every sentence Madam Second spoke was a fact. Everyone a foolish thing he had personally done. You're what? Third uncle also spoke, his voice filled with disappointment. I watched you grow up, thought you were promising. The old man treated you as the heir of the Gu family to nurture. But what about you? You repay him with these things. The old man is still in the hospital, life and death uncertain, and you're still thinking of finding that mistress, finding trouble for Xiao. Do you have any filial piety at all? I didn't intend to cause trouble for Xiao. I just want to find her, want her to forgive me. Guan's voice was filled with deep remorse. I know I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. I won't do it again in the future. I will take good care of the old master, run the company properly. Please give me one more chance. Chance? Gu Minga sneered, pulling out a stack of documents from his bag and throwing them in Gu Yanqing's face. You still want a chance. Gayan, you should look at this yourself. This is the latest financial report of the Gu Group and the details of your embezzlement. Every item clear as day because you embezzled company funds. Several key partners terminated cooperation. Now the company's cash flow is about to break, facing an unprecedented crisis. How can we give you a chance? Genshin picked up the documents, scanning the data, his face slowly turning pale. He knew the company was in trouble, but he hadn't expected it to be this serious. A broken cash flow meant the Gu Group could go bankrupt at any moment. And this grandfather number 2 threw over another document bag. This contains evidence of your affair with Chinuro, as well as records of you buying her a house and transferring money. Even evidence that she faked a pregnancy test to fool you. As the heir of the Gu family, you're being played by a mistress and have turned the family upside down. How can we believe you? Guaning opened the file bag. The evidence inside was exactly the same as what Swan showed him. He looked at the photos and records, feeling angry and remorseful. Angry at his own stupidity, regretting that back then he was bewitched and entangled with Chin. Urairo, I heard you even sent people all over to look for Xiao. Old second grandpa's gaze grew even colder. Sue was such a good child. You hurt her heart so much that she left with Nanchi. Can't you let her live a few peaceful days? And you still bother her. I'm telling you, in the Gu family, there isn't anyone who doesn't worry about Jiao. No one who doesn't blame you. If you dare to disturb her again, I won't spare you. I just want her to forgive me to make amends with her and none. Shiguan's voice cracked with tears. He was truly regretful now. willing to lose everything just to have Shinji back by his side. Make amends. Lady Second sneered. How can you make amends? Can you repay the hardships Joe endured, the suffering Yen Shay endured on the night of the typhoon? Where were you when She was pregnant and constantly nauseated, unable to eat? Where were you when Yanni had a fever in the middle of the night, crying for her father on the night of the typhoon? Joe and Yen's lives were uncertain. I called you for help and you were with your mistress. Can you make amends? The words of Madame stabbed into Guyan's heart like knives. He lowered his head, silent tears falling, and kept saying, I'm sorry. I really am sorry. Sorry gets you anything. Grandfather spoke sternly. The Gu family doesn't have an unfilled grandchild like you, and the Gu group can't be managed by someone like you. Today we've summoned everyone to discuss revoking your position as president of the Gu group, with Gu Mingo temporarily taking over as president to handle the company's crisis. Also notify the lawyers to fully support Shinji's divorce petition for Ningxi's custody. It must be given to Xiao, the Gu family's assets. What should go to Xiao cannot be shorted by a single penny. What? Guy Yanning looked up abruptly, his eyes full of disbelief. Grandfather heir, you can't do this. I am the president of the Gu group. I am the heir designated by the old master. You can't revoke my position. I can't divorce. I can't lose Jiao and Ningxi. Grandfather heir, snorted coldly. A person like you isn't fit to be the Gu family's heir. If the old master were awake, he wouldn't recognize you as his grandson either. Revoking your position is a decision unanimously made by all of us elders. Complain as you might, it won't help. Grandpa Second looked at the elders present and said, those who agreed to revoke President Gian in position and support Shin Zai's divorce petition, raise your hand. As soon as the words fell, Madam's second wife, Uncle Third, Aunt Third, and the other elders all raised their hands in unison, not a single person opposing. Guyan watched the scene before him, and his heart cooled completely. He had not expected that he would be so ostracized in the Gu family, so utterly abandoned with no one to speak up for him. Why? Guyanshin looked at Gumingu, his voice filled with despair. Brother, we are cousins. Why won't you help me? Gumingu looked at him calmly and said, Yenshin, I'm not helping you because you're unhelpful. You've gone too far. Jo is a good woman. You've wronged her. The Gu family's heart and soul is the company. You've wronged the Gu family. If I help you, I'm wronging Xiao and the Gu family. Guyanshin stumbled back a step, his face as pale as paper, and he was utterly exhausted. He had lost Shinjiyu, lost Nanqi, lost the position of president of the Gu group, lost the family support. Now, he truly had nothing at all. Also, Grandfather too spoke again, that Chiniro from now on do not let her set foot into the Gu family again, and do not let her be involved with the Gu family in any way. If she dares to cause trouble again, just call the police. Understood. Ginga nodded and agreed. Guanchin could no longer stand. He turned around and ran out of the Gu family's old mansion in a flurry. The sunlight was dazzling, but he felt icy all over, as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. He wandered aimlessly down the street, his mind a blank. He didn't know where to go or what to do. He wanted to find Shinjiyu, but he couldn't. He wanted to go back to the company, but he was no longer the president. He wanted to return to the old residence, but the elders did not welcome him at that moment. His phone rang, the hospital calling. He hurriedly picked up his tone urgent. Hello, is this the hospital? How is my grandfather? Mr. Gu, your grandfather has woken up, but his emotions are very unstable. He's been calling your name as well as the names of Mrs. Shin and Miss Nanqi. You should come over as soon as possible. The nurse's voice came through. Guaning felt a thrill in his heart, immediately hailed a taxi, and rushed to the hospital. He held on to a glimmer of hope. Perhaps the old man would wake up, forgive him, help him win Baku, and help him keep his position. But when he reached the hospital ward door, he heard the old man's weak, yet furious voice. Don't let Guyan, that rebellious son, come in. I don't have a grandson like him. Where are Xiao and Shinshir? Bring them back. I only want my granddaughter-in-law and my great-granddaughter-in-law. Guaning's step stopped, his hands suspended in midair. No longer daring to push open the ward door, he leaned against the wall, tears streaming down uncontrollably. He knew that even the old man wouldn't forgive him. He was truly doomed in the ward. Grandpa Eyre watched the old man and whispered, "Brother, don't be angry. Anger will harm your health. That rebellious son of Ening, we've punished him already. Revoked his position as president and even supported Joe's divorce. Rest assured, we will find a way to contact Shu and have her bring Yanu back to see you." The old master sighed, his eyes full of guilt. "It's my fault I didn't teach Yinshin well, so I wronged Xiao and Yanhe. If Xiao is willing to come back, the Goof family will always be her home. If she's not willing, we won't force it, just as long as she and Yan Shihi can live well." Meanwhile, in a foreign apartment, Uncle Jang was holding his phone, reporting to me the news about the Gu family. Madam Miss Su just sent a message saying that the Gu family held a family meeting yesterday, removing Mr. Gio's position and letting his cousin Gingo take over temporarily. Also, the old master woke up very angry, unwilling to see Mr. Gu, and said he supports your divorce and wants you to take Niana back with you. Uncle Jang said with a smile. I was painting with Niani just then. After hearing this, the brush in my hand paused and a subtle smile curled at the corner of my mouth. The old master is perceptive, but unfortunately the grandson he raised is not capable at all. Aunt Lee walked over with a bottle of milk, smiling. "Madam, this is all Mr. Gu's own doing. If he had treated you and Miss Nanchi properly in the beginning, he wouldn't be in this situation now. Now, the Gu family supports you, so you don't have to fear him anymore." I stroked Nanchi's head and smiled. I've never been afraid of him. Divorce is definitely going to happen. I'll get custody of Nanchi and the property that belongs to me. Not a single penny less. As for whether we go back or not, it depends on whether she wants to. And she, holding a paintbrush, tilting her little face, said, "Where Mom goes, and she goes. And she doesn't like the Gu family, doesn't like Dad." I lowered my head and kissed her forehead, smiling. "All right. Well, listen to Nianchi." Sunlight poured through the window onto the drawing paper, and she drew a family of 3. But in the painting, there was no Bianing, only me, her, and Grandpa Xiang, and Grandy. Looking at the painting, my heart was filled with warmth. Watching our family of 4 on Nanchi's drawing, my heart warmed to the core. My fingertips brushed gently over my own smiling face in the picture, and I suddenly remembered my pre-marriage self. Back then, I was also a girl full of passion for design, a graduate of a prestigious design institute, holding several design awards in my hand. I had the opportunity to join a top design company, but after marrying Guyan, he said, "Gu family's young mistress doesn't need to go out and show her face." I then willingly set down the brush and became a full-time housewife, turning around to revolve around him. These 3 years, I have devoted all my time and energy to the Gu family, to him and Nianchi, and I had long forgotten that I once had dreams, too. But now I can finally pick up those forgotten moments and become myself again. "Uncle Jang, Aunt Lee, I want to resume designing," I said firmly while holding Nanchi. Uncle Jang paused for a moment. Then a relieved smile appeared on his face. "Madam, this is wonderful. You studied design before, and you draw so well. Don't waste such talent. Rest assured with me and Aunt Lee taking care of the household matters. We will look after Miss Nanchi well and make sure you have no worries." Aunt Lee nodded along, her smile widening impossibly. "Yes, madam, we support you. If you want to look for a studio, Uncle Jang knows quite a few people. Let him help you check around. You'll surely find a suitable place." And she stretched out her small hand, wrapped around my neck in a babbish voice, saying, "Mom paints beautiful, and I supports Mom." Seeing how supportive everyone was, I felt a surge of strength in my heart. I nodded firmly. "Okay, then I'll give it a try. I want to participate in the International Children's Wear Design competition next month, using Yenshur as inspiration to design a series of children's clothes." Acting on it, I did it. The next day, Uncle Jang helped me find a quiet studio nearby the apartment, about a 10-minute walk away. The studio isn't big, but it's fully equipped. There's a beautiful garden outside the floor, toe-ceiling windows, abundant sunlight, and it's especially suitable for creativity. I arranged the studio to be warm and comfortable with design drafts I had painted before hanging on the wall, as well as Nancy's graffiti on the table lay brushes, paints, and fabrics. Looking at all this, I seemed to be back in the college days, my heart filled with excitement. In the days to come, I take Niani to a nearby kindergarten every morning, then head to the studio to create. At noon, I come back to have lunch with Uncle Jang and Aunt Lee, and in the afternoon, I stay in the studio again until Nenshi finishes school. Uncle Jang and Etli keep the home perfectly organized and take care of Nshi in every possible way, so I don't have to worry about anything at home and can devote myself wholeheartedly to design. This time, my competition theme is guardianship and rebirth with inspiration entirely drawn from Ningxia. On the night of the typhoon, I did my best to protect her. After leaving Gyanyaning, both she and I were reborn. I used soft cotton fabric paired with fresh light tones to design a series of children's clothing suitable for kids to wear. Each piece features a small floral pattern, which is Nancy's favorite motif and also my blessing for her. May she always grow up healthy and happy, just like a little flower. The creative process is not easy. Sometimes, in order to revise a design detail, I stay in the studio until late at night. Uncle Jang always brings me a cup of hot milk, and Aunt Lee also saves some supper, waiting for me to return. Their care is like warm sunlight, illuminating the path ahead for me. That night, I was in the studio revising the design draft when Sumin called me on a video chat. After the video connected, Sumin's smiling face appeared on the screen, and she spoke excitedly. "Xiao, I've got good news for you. Guan is completely finished now. After being stripped of the president position by the Gu family, he tried to find a job, but no one in his circle would hire him after all. Who wants to hire someone who cheated in embezzled funds? Most of the assets in his hands are marital, and I've already helped you apply for freezing them. He can't even pay his rent now, and Chinguru is pestering him for money, too." The paintbrush in my hand paused, and a faint smile tugged at the corner of my mouth. "Is that so? Then he deserves it. Isn't that right?" Sumin said with a smile. "Also, I heard that after Gum, Mumingo took over the Gu Group. The first thing he did was renegotiate contracts with your former partners and restart production of several of your previously designed women's clothing lines, which sold especially well. Everyone says you have good taste, and the clothes you design are both beautiful and practical." A warmth bloomed in my heart. I didn't expect Gingu to do this. "Thank him for me," I said. "Don't worry, I've already thanked you on your behalf." Sumin said, "By the way, how have you been lately? I heard you're going to participate in the International Children's Clothing Design Competition. Keep it up. I believe you'll win an award." "I will. Thank you, man," I said with a smile. The call ended, and I looked at the design draft on the table, feeling more confident. I'm not trying to prove anything to Gaianshin. I just want to do what I love, to be a role model for Nshi, to let her know that a woman can live wonderfully without relying on anyone. Soon the submission deadline for the International Children's Design Competition arrived. I send out the design draft and the samples, feeling both excited and nervous. Uncle Jang and Etli always comfort me, saying, "My designs are so good, I'm sure I'll win an award." And she also hugs my arm every day and says, "Mom is the best. Mom can win first place." During the days waiting for the results, I didn't stop. I continued designing new styles and even registered my own design brand. I thought whether or not I win an award, I would continue to pursue my design career. Half a month later, the competition organizers called me to inform that I won the gold award and invited me to attend the award ceremony. The moment I received the call, I was so excited that I could not speak, and tears instantly welled up. Uncle Jean and Aunt Lee, upon hearing the news, were as happy as children. Nenshi hugged me, shouting nonstop, "Mom won an award. Mom is amazing." On the day of the award ceremony, I wore a white dress I designed myself, took Nenshi's hand, and walked into the awards venue. Many famous designers and entrepreneurs from home and abroad gathered there. The lights were dazzling, yet I was not nervous at all because I knew that today I could stand here thanks to my own efforts, not someone else's accessory. When the host called my name, I took Nyenchi's hand and stepped onto the stage one by one. The award presenter handed me the golden trophy, smiling and saying, "Mission, your design is filled with love and warmth, both beautiful and practical, very infectious, well deserved." I accepted the trophy, bowed deeply to the audience, then picked up the microphone and spoke with a firm and composed tone. "Thank you to the organizing committee. Thank you all. The reason I can design these works is that my inspiration comes from my daughter Nyenchi. I used to be a full-time housewife spinning around the family, nearly forgetting my own dreams. But now I have picked up the brush again and become myself again. I want to tell all women we can be mothers, we can be wives, but we can also be ourselves. Do not give up your dreams for anyone. As long as you persist, you will surely shine and make a difference." Just as I finished speaking, a wave of enthusiastic applause erupted from the audience. I looked at Uncle Jang and Etli in the crowd. Their eyes were full of pride. I looked down at Nyan Shu beside me. She was smiling at me, a radiant smile on her face. After the awards ceremony, many famous children's clothing brands came to collaborate with me, wanting me to be their chief designer, and several investors were eager to invest in my brand. I chose a brand with a philosophy aligned with mine to be the chief designer while continuing to run my own small brand. My design career was increasingly smooth, and I quickly established myself in the international design circle, becoming a somewhat well-known designer in the industry. I was no longer the little plant that circled Guyan. I was Shin Zio, the designer who lived by her own efforts. That night, after finishing work and returning home, Uncle Jang walked over with his phone and smiled. "Madam, Miss Su just sent a message. It seems Mr. Gu has heard that you won an international design award and started your own brand, and he's frantic, asking around for news about you, but there's not a single clue." I took the glass of water, took a sip, and spoke calmly. "If he wants to find out, let him find out. I'm not the person I used to be anymore. Even if he finds me, it won't change anything." Aunt Lee carried dinner over, smiling. "Yes, madam, you're so capable now. You have Miss and I by your side, us and so many collaborators. There's nothing to fear from him, no matter how impatient he is. It's useless." And she hugged my arm softly and whispered, "Mom, you're amazing. I want to be like you in the future, doing what I love." I bowed my head and pressed a kiss to her forehead, smiling. "Okay, Mom believes in you, and she will surely be very capable in the future." After dinner, I held Nyenchi's hand and stood in front of the floor, toe-ceiling window, looking at the night view outside. The lights glittered. The stars twinkled, just like my future, full of hope. I know Guyan is surely still looking for me, surely not willing to give up yet, but I no longer care. My life now is full and happy. I have the person I love and a career I enjoy, and that is enough. I'm in the studio, communicating via video, with a partner about the design details of a new children's clothing line. And she sits on a small sofa nearby, obediently playing with building blocks. Sunlight pours through the floor to ceiling window and shines on her, a soft bundle, incredibly cute. After the video call ends, I walk over, pick up Nanchi, squeeze her chubby little cheeks, and smile. "Nanchi, are you well behaved? Did I interrupt Mommy's work?" Nanchi is so well behaved. She hugged my neck and spoke in a childlike voice. "Mommy's at work. Nanchi won't cry at this moment." Uncle Jang walked in with a phone in his hand, a look of amusement on his face. "Madam, Miss Su has sent another message. This time, it's worth watching. Chinuru and Mr. Gu have completely torn their faces apart and are determined to destroy each other." My heart moved. I sat down with Ninsher in my arms and smiled. "Oh, what happened? Tell me the details." Uncle Jang opened the phone and read aloud the message from Su Man. "Miss Su says that after Mr. Gu was stripped of the president position by the Gu family, he doesn't have much money left. The house he bought for Chinuro before has been sealed by the court because it was marital property and part of your belongings. Chinuru has nowhere to live and no money to spend, so she keeps going to Mr. Gu for money. Mr. Gu is in trouble himself now. How could he have money to give her? The two are arguing day and night. I raised my eyebrows a bit, not surprised at all. Shin Yurairo originally went after Guyan for his money, and now that Guyan is down and out, how could she be willing? There's something even more exciting. Uncle Jang continued. When Chinuro saw that Mr. Go wouldn't pay, she was insulted as a worthless pair of shoes no one wants and completely humiliated. She, surprisingly, had a lot of Mr. Gu's dirty secrets in her hands, and they were exposed first thing this morning. Scarlet material. I asked curiously what kind of black material could be in her hands. Miss Sue says that Chinuro has recordings of Mr. Gu venting to her and screenshots of their chats full of Mr. Gu's sincere thoughts. Uncle Yen's tone loosens a bit. There's his confession that he's long planned to calculate your dowry, an inheritance left by the old madam that he used embezzling Gu Group funds, not only to support Chinuro, but also to secretly move them into his own name. And there's even discussions with Chinuro about how to design a plan to get you to divorce voluntarily and leave everything behind. When I heard this, there was not a hint of disturbance in my heart. On the contrary, I found it laughable. It turns out Guyanin had never truly cared for me from the beginning, and what he called marriage was merely a tool for him to exploit my wealth. Fortunately, I woke up early. Otherwise, I would have been duped and left with nothing. And there's more. Uncle Jean continued. Chinuro also exposed Mr. Gu's unscrupulous business past, such as bribing partners to win projects, deliberately suppressing competitors, and falsifying accounts to scumbuy. When these dirt came to light, the internet blew up. Mr. Goose name trended, and people were calling him the scumbag among scumbags and a business to generate. I stroked Niani's head and whispered, he deserved all of this. He thought he had done everything flawlessly, but he didn't expect to fall into Chinuro's hands. What goes around comes around. Karma is real. Isn't that right? Uncle Jang said with a smile. Chinuro not only posted the scandal online, she also specifically sent it to the elders of the Gu as well as the partners of the Gu. Now, the Gu family's phones are exploding with calls. The elders are furious and saying they want to completely oust Mr. Gu from the Gu family. A few partners of the Gu group have issued statements again, saying they will terminate all cooperation with the Gu group and they will also hold Mr. Gu accountable for his previous business fraud. I can imagine Guyan's current pathetic state, surely frantic and besieged from all sides back then for Chinuro. He betrayed me, schemed against the Gu family, and now Chinuro has counterattacked him, ending up in this situation. It's really a case of trying to steal a chicken only to lose the rice. On this side, I'm listening to Uncle Jang talk about the domestic buzz, while on the other side, Guanchin inside the country has completely collapsed. He's hiding in his rented little apartment, watching the internet flood with smear campaigns. His phone keeps ringing, all from Gu family elders, media, and debt collectors. He doesn't dare answer at all. The apartment door was slammed with a loud bang bang bang, and Chinyur's voice roared outside. Gu yawning, open the door for me. You dare stay inside and not come out. I'm telling you, if you don't give me money today, I'll expose more of your black materials, ruin your reputation completely, and send you to prison. Guining stood up abruptly, rushed to the door, and roared through the door. Chinuro, are you crazy? How dare you reveal my darkest secret? Do you know that by doing this, you'll also drag yourself down? Dragging myself down. Chinuru sneered coldly, her tone full of madness. What do I have to fear now? The house has been seized. The money you duped for me is gone. You don't want me anymore. I've been left with nothing. I'm not doing well, and you won't be doing well either. Gu Yaning, you pushed me to this step. You deserve it. I deserve it. Gu Yaning trembled with anger. It was you who took the initiative to seduce me at first. You forged the prenatal test to fool me. You spent my money. Now you bite me back. You deserve it. I seduced you. Chiniro roared. If you weren't greedy for money and lust, could I seduce you at all? Back then, you asked me to help cover up the embezzlement. You spoiled me in every way and even told me that as long as you got Shinji's assets, you'd marry me as the young madam of the Gu family. Haven't you forgotten these words? I kept the recordings, too. If you don't open the door, I'll send the recordings to the police. Guan's face instantly turned pale. He knew Chinuo would do what she said. If she really sent the recording to the police, he would be finished. Not only would his reputation be ruined, but he would also go to jail. He gritted his teeth and opened the door. As soon as the door opened, Chinu rushed in, grabbing his collar with a crazed look in her eyes, and said, Guyan Chin, give me money. I want a lump sum. I want to leave here and never come back. Otherwise, I will immediately send the recording to the police. I have no money. Guanchin shook off her hand. His voice, I see. I'm broke right now, barely able to pay the rent. How do you expect me to find money for you? You have no money. Shinuro couldn't believe it, her gaze sweeping the apartment with a fierce look. You're lying to me. You're from the Gu family. How could you have no money? You must have hidden the money. Guaning, I warn you, don't play tricks with me, or I'll make you regret it for the rest of your life. I really have no money. Guan sat tired on the sofa, his face full of despair. All my marital assets were frozen by Shinjiu, and you spent all my money. I've lost my position at the company. The Gu family doesn't want me anymore, and I'm a penniless beggar now. Qingguo looked at his pathetic appearance, not like he was lying, and her last bit of hope slowly faded. She slumped to the ground, her eyes hollow, saying, Impossible. How could I be so unlucky? I originally wanted to marry into a wealthy family for a good life. So, how did I end up like this? Guanchan looked at her, his heart full of disgust and regret. Do you regret it now? If back then you hadn't been greedy, hadn't forged the pregnancy test to deceive me, you wouldn't be in this situation today. Chinuro, the two of us are just scheming against each other, pulling each other down, and in the end, we both became a joke. Chinuro suddenly looked up, her eyes full of malice. I refuse to be a joke. Gani, since you won't give me money, then we'll die together. I will send the recording to the police right now. I want to put you in prison. I want you to never be able to turn the tables again. As she spoke, Chinuro took out her phone and was about to open the recording file. Guanchin was so frightened that he hurried over, trying to grab her phone. No, Chinuro, don't act on impulse. We can talk this through. I won't tell you. Chinuro dodges desperately. I'm going to put you in prison. I want you to pay for what you've done. Two people tangled. Chinuro's phone fell to the ground. The screen shattered, but the audio file had already been sent out to the police and major media. Guan looked at the phone on the ground and fell into complete despair. He slumped to the floor, his eyes hollow, muttering nonstop. It's over. I'm completely finished. Qingguo was stunned as well, looking at the shattered phone, then at the desperate Guining, and suddenly she laughed, a laugh that was crazy and pitiful. Ha, Guyan, we're both done. Let's go to hell together. Just then, the apartment door was pushed open. Several police officers walked in showing a warrant and saying, Seriously, Gwyn, we've received a report that you are suspected of embezzlement and commercial fraud. Please come with us for questioning. Guyan did not resist, letting the police put handcuffs on him. He looked at Chinuro, his eyes filled with hatred, yet powerless. Chinuro watched Guyan being taken away by the police, then herself slumped to the ground, tears silently falling. She had gone to great lengths to climb the social ladder and live a good life, only to end up in this fate truly of her own making at this moment in the foreign studio. Uncle Jang has already told me the follow-up message Suman sent. Madam, Miss Su says the police have taken Mr. Gu away on suspicion of embezzlement and commercial fraud. Chinu has also been questioned for involvement. Now the internet is full of news about Mr. Gu's arrest, and the Gu family has issued a statement saying they will cut off all ties with Mr. Gu and never acknowledge him. Uncle Jang said with a smile, I hold Nshi, gently patting her back, and speak calmly. Got it. He committed so many illegal acts. Being caught was only a matter of time. Aunt Lee walks in with a tray of fruit, smiling. Now, this really is heartening. Mr. Gu and Chinro, those two bad people have finally been punished. From now on, no one will disturb you and miss Nanchi's life again. I touch Nanchi's head and smile. Yes, from now on, we won't be bothered by them again. We'll keep living happily, doing what we love. And she hugs my neck, pecks my face, and whispers softly, Mom, Happy. I lowered my head and kissed her forehead, warm feelings filling my heart. Guyan and Shinjiro, their retribution has finally come. They hurt me, scheme against me, and now they are paying the price for what they did. Uncle Jean looked at me and said, Madam, Miss Sue also said that on the Gu Group side, Gu Minggu has completely cleaned up the mess left by Mr. Gu and has even reached a cooperation intention with your brand, wanting to bring your children's clothing designs into the domestic market. Do you want to agree? I thought for a moment, smiled, and said, I can agree. Gingu is a reasonable person. There won't be any problems collaborating with him. And bringing my designs into the domestic market is also something I've always wanted to do. Good. Then I'll reply to Miss Sue right away and let her help coordinate the subsequent cooperation matters. Uncle Jang said happily. Sunlight pours through the floor to ceiling window and falls warm on us. I know that the story of Gyanking and Shinjiro has completely ended. They will spend the rest of their lives in prison or in remorse for their mistakes. Guanqing was detained by the police for half a month. The Gu family, to preserve the last trace of face, used their connections and spend a fortune to get him released, but announced on the spot that they would sever all ties with him, revoke all his Gu family status, and even freeze the little inheritance his mother had left. As he stepped out of the police station, he wore a washed-out old suit. His hair was disheveled, and stubble covered his jaw. The former Gu Corporation president's pride and vigor had vanished, leaving him looking like a ruined vagrant. Chinuro was sentenced to 3 years in prison for embezzling public funds and forging evidence, and she would no longer be able to stir up any waves. Guanqin was penniless, homeless, with no one in his circle willing to take him in, not even the friends who used to flock around him, who now kept their distance. He crouched at a street corner, watching the traffic pass by, with only one thought left in his mind: find Shinji Wu. He knew that only Shinji might still give him a way out, even if he had to be a beast of burden. He wanted to stay by her side and make amends to her in Nyanchi. Gu Yanking, after several inquiries, finally squeezed out from Gamingu, the rough city where Shinshio was abroad. Gingu did not want to say it at first, but seeing him in tattered clothes, kneeling and begging, his heart softened a little. Yet he warned him, don't go disturbing Xiao. She's living well now. If you dare ruin her days, I 1TT spare you. Guing's warning, Guanqin completely ignored. He kept pressing for a long time, barely managed to buy the cheapest one-way ticket, and after a long journey, finally arrived at the city where Shinshio was. He didn't know exactly where Shinji lived, nor the address of her studio, only wandering aimlessly in the commercial center of the city, asking everyone about designer Shinshio. Fortune favors the persistent. That afternoon, in front of a high-end mall, he saw Shinshio from afar. She was wearing a well-tailored, off-white pantsuit, her long hair tied up, makeup exquisite, holding Yanqi's hand, walking in with Uncle Zhang and Aunt Li with a calm smile on her face, so radiant that he couldn't bear to look directly at her. Guan's heart pounded, and he rushed forward regardless, grabbing Shinji's wrist, his voice and urgent. Shu, Shinji, it's me. Shinshio was suddenly pulled by a force, turning her head to see Gu Xing. In that moment, her eyes showed no ripple, only a faint contempt. She jerked her wrist free, stepped back, created distance, and spoke coldly. Mr. Gu, do we know each other? Mr. Gu. Guanqing was taken aback, his eyes reening instantly. Ziyu, I am Yen, your husband. Guyan, how can you not recognize me? Husband. Shinji sneered, lifting her hand to straighten her sleeve. I already divorced you a long time ago. The court's judgment should be in your hands by now. Right. Guaning, between us, it has long been severed. There's no relationship at all. Uncle Jang immediately stepped forward, blocking Shinshio and Yanqi, his gaze sharp as he stared at Guyan. Mr. Gu, please show some respect. Stop harassing our wife and miss, with the way you are now. Do you still have the face to appear in front of our wife? Aunt Li also guarded Nyenshur in her arms and glared at Jianing. Exactly. Back then, you neglected the lives of the madam, and the young mistress kept company with the mistress's plaything. And now that you've fallen on hard times, you want to come looking for Madam. You're dreaming. And she hid in Aunt Lee's arms, curiously sizing up Guyan, but tightly clutched Aunt Lee's clothes and whispered, Grandmolly, who is this person so scary? Guanchin heard Nanchi's words, and his heart at pricked by needles. He knelt down, trying to keep his tone as gentle as possible, stretched out his hand to touch. And she's head. She, I am Daddy. Daddy came to see you. Don't you recognize Daddy? She suddenly shuddered back, dodging his hand, frowning with a look of disgust, and said, You're not my daddy. My daddy is a bad man who bullies Mom. I don't have a daddy like you. I'm not a bad person. Ninchi, Dad knows he's wrong. Guyan's voice cracked with crying, tears falling down. Dad is sorry for you, and Mom before. Dad knows he's wrong. Will you forgive Dad? I'll take good care of you and Mom in the future. I won't make mistakes again. No need. Shincher spoke coldly, interrupting him, Guyaning. Nanchi is right. You're not her father, and you don't deserve to be her father. On that typhoon night, I held Nanchi, who had a high fever and was convulsing, and you were with Chinuro. I was schemed by you, dragging Nanchi through hardships. You were squandering my fortune. I rebuilt myself, built my career, and you stayed in prison. Now you say you're wrong and want to make amends. It's too late. Not late. Not at all late. Gu Yanjin suddenly stood up, grabbing Shinji's arm, begging with a hard cry, Shio, I know I was a bastard before. I know I owe you. And Yanni, I have nothing now. The Gu family doesn't want me. Chinro is in too. I only have you. Can you let me stay by your side? I can be your driver. Do housework for you. Run the studio. I'm willing to do anything. Just don't drive me away. Around passers-by gradually gathered, watching them, curiously pointing at Guyan. Someone recognized Shinji, whispering, Isn't that the internationally renowned designer Shinji? Who is this man? He looks so ruined. He seems to be her ex-husband. I heard he used to be a president. Then he cheated and embezzled funds, fell from grace, and came here to seek reconciliation. Wow, so disgusting, so heartless at first. Now, pretending to be pitiful, Guaning felt the surrounding whispers, his face burning hot, eager to find a crack to dive into. Yet, he still gripped Shinji's arm tightly and refused to let go. Shio, please give me one more chance. I really know I'm wrong. Shu forcefully shook off his hand, her eyes icy as she looked at him. Her tone was calm, yet every word pierced him. Ginshing, you're not admitting you're wrong. You're at your wit's end. You're coming to me not to make amends with Ningxer, but to find a backing, to stay alive. Unfortunately, I won't give you that chance. She paused, her gaze sweeping over his desolate figure, and she continued, How you treated me back then. How you treated Nenshi. I didn't exact blood for blood. I've already done more than enough. If you want to survive, figure it out yourself. Don't bother me. Also, if you dare harass me and Shincher again, I will report you to the police immediately so you can taste prison even abroad. No, Shio, you can't treat me this way. Guan collapsed to the ground, looking at Shinjiu, his eyes full of despair. I'm Yanshi's father. I'm your husband. You can't just ignore me. I'll say it one last time. We are already divorced. You are not my husband, nor is Yunyan Zai's father. Shinji held Niani's hand, then looked at Uncle Jang and Etli again. Let's go. Uncle Jang and Etli glared at Guyan Chin fiercely, then turned and followed Shinji. And she lay on Shinji's chest, turning back to glance at Guyanchin lying paralyzed on the ground, whispering, Mom, that person is so pitiful. Shinji lowered her head and kissed her forehead, softly saying, He is not pitiful. He brought it on himself. Guyan watched their resolute silhouettes, hearing the taunts of passers by around him, and tears surged forth. He wanted to stand up and catch up, but his legs felt as if filled with lead, and he could not rise at all. He knelt on the ground, his hands clasping his head, wailing loudly, his crying filled with regret and despair. He finally understood that what he had lost was not only wealth and status, but also the woman who used to look at him with all her heart, and the daughter he had never cherished. He had committed so many mistakes, hurt so many people, and now his ending was what he deserved. The bystanders around, tired of the spectacle, gradually dispersed, leaving Guanchin alone in a corner by the mall entrance. Crying like a child, he had no money, no status, no family, not even someone he could turn to for help. He didn't know where to go or what to do. The days ahead were filled with endless darkness and regret. And Xin Xiu with Nianshi, Zhang Shu, and Ling Yang walked into the mall, her face still calm and composed, as if the downtrodden Guyan Yan Chen from just now was just an inconsequential stranger. Jiang Shu looked at Xinji and whispered, "Madam, Mr. Gu, will he come back to harass us?" Xinji shook her head with a smile and said, "No, he has already lost face. Even his last shred of dignity gone. Even if he has that heart, he lacks the courage. Even if he comes again, we're not afraid. This is our territory. He can't stir up any trouble here." And Tai also laughed and said, "Yes, Mrs. is so formidable right now and has so many friends. Even if Mr. Gu comes again, we can deal with him." And she held the small toy Shinji bought and grinned from ear to ear. "Mom, shall we go have ice cream?" "Okay, Mom will take you to have ice cream," Shinji said with a smile, holding Nanchi's hand, and walked step by step toward the mall's dessert shop in front of the studios. Floor-to-ceiling window. I'm coordinating with Gu Minggu via video chat about the domestic listing details of the children's clothing brand. On the screen, Gingu is wearing a sharp suit, his tone steady. Ju, the offline stores in the domestic market are already prepared. The press conference is set for the middle of next month, and we've invited numerous media outlets and big names in the children's wear industry. If you have time, you should come back for a trip. I look at the design draft spread on the table, which is the Eastern Childlike Fun series designed exclusively for the domestic market, and I nod with a smile. Okay, I'll set aside some time. I'll go back for the press conference. It just so happens that I want to see Man and the old man as well. The old master must be very happy. Gu Minggu smiled. He keeps mentioning Nianqi, saying that when you all return, he'll personally make Nianqi her favorite sweet and sour spare ribs. Hanging up the video, Nian, she ran over, holding a picture book, and tilted her little face up to say, "Mom, was that Uncle Gu just now? He said he would make sweet and sour pork ribs for me, right?" I squeezed her chubby little cheeks and smiled, saying, "Yes, once we return home, Grandpa Gu will make you sweet and sour ribs. And Aunt Sue will also come to see you." "Yay, great," Nan Shuan cheered, bouncing back to the sofa to continue reading the picture book. Uncle Jiang walked in with a cup of hot coffee, smiling. "Madam, have you arranged everything for back home? I heard you say you're returning for the press conference. I'll go book the tickets and hotel right away." "Thank you, Uncle Jiang." I took the coffee and casually asked, "By the way, any news about Guyan lately?" Speaking of Guyan, Uncle Yen's smile faded a little, and his tone carried some sighing emotion. "Miss Sue wrote a few days ago that Mr. Gu found a job as a restaurant waiter abroad, carrying trays and washing dishes every day, so tired that his back can't straighten, and he's often troubled by customers. I heard he wants to return to the country, but because of his past record, his visa can't be processed, so he can only do odd jobs here to make ends meet, living in the cheapest basement, not even able to afford a hot meal." The hand holding the coffee cup froze for a moment, and there wasn't the slightest ripple in my heart, only the thought that this was the ending he deserved. Got it. No need to monitor him anymore. Don't let him disturb our peace. "Yes, madam." Uncle Jiang nodded. "I've told Miss Sue as well. Let her stop sending his messages over. Let's live our own days." Well, in the days that followed, I devoted myself wholeheartedly to preparing the domestic press conference, revising the design drafts, confirming the conference, coordinating with the domestic team. Uncle Jean and Etley helped take care of Nanchi, and even specially learned to make many domestic dishes for fear that Nanchi and I might not be accustomed to the food. When we returned to the country the day before returning to the homeland, a partner from the studio specially sent a bouquet of champagne roses with a note wishing Director Shin a successful domestic launch. Nini hugged the roses, and leaned close to my ear, whispering, "Mom, after we go back to our country, will we see that bad dad?" I crouched down, holding her, and softly said, "No, he won't dare to bother us again, and the people we're going to meet are all people who love Nancy." And she nodded, as if partly understanding, bringing the roses to her nose to sniff them. She wants to see Grandpa Goo, Aunt Sue, and also eat sweet and sour pork ribs. On the plane back to her country, Ninchi rested in my arms and fell asleep, small brow gently furrowed like a little angel. I gazed at her peaceful, sleeping face, feeling tenderness flood my heart. 3 years ago, I fled with her in a moment of distress. 3 years later, I return home in glory with her, accompanied by Uncle Jang and Aunt Lee, supported by a career behind us. No longer the helpless, full-time mother I once was. The day we arrived back in the country, Sumin had already been waiting at the airport exit. When she saw us, she rushed over to hug me, excitedly, saying, "Ju, I've missed you so much. And our Nancy baby, you've all grown so tall." Nancy hid behind me, looking at Suman shyly, then broke into a smile again. "Aun Sui. Hello, Gu." Mingu also drove to pick us up, and in the car was the sweet and sour spare ribs the old master specially asked him to bring. They were still hot. Nancy sniffed the aroma, leaned over, and began eating in small bites, looking completely content. Back at the Gu family's old residence, the old master had already been waiting at the door. When he saw Nancy, he immediately wore a kind smile, reached out to hug her, then worried he might scare her, and carefully said, "Nancy, Grandpa has missed you, Nian." She looked at the old man, recalling that Mama said this was Grandpa Gu who loved her, and proactively pounced forward, wrapping his arms around his legs. "Grandpa Gu, hello." The old man's eyes crinkled into slits as he smiled, and holding Yincher, he walked into the house, endlessly saying, "My dear great-granddaughter, Grandpa has made you lots of tasty food, all of your favorites." Watching the old man and Yanchi being affectionate, I feel a deep sense of consolation among the elders of the Gu family. The old man has always been reasonable and understanding. He supported my divorce at first, and now he sincerely loves Nyenchi. I keep this in my heart. On the day of the launch, the venue was packed. I wore a white dress I designed myself, holding Nyenchi's hand, stepping onto the stage. When I presented the Eastern, childlike, fun children's wear collection, the audience erupted in applause. The understated blue and white porcelain patterns, the soft silk fabrics, paired with lively cuts, combining Eastern charm with practical wear for children, winning everyone's approval. After the press conference ended, quite a few media members swarmed over to interview me. Someone asked, "Director Shin, you transitioned from a full-time housewife to an internationally renowned designer. Who is the person you most want to thank?" I looked at Nyen beside me, then glanced at Su Man Gingo in the audience, and Uncle Jang and Aunt Lee. I smiled and said, "I most want to thank my daughter Nanchi. She gave me courage and inspiration. I also want to thank Uncle Jang and Aunt Lee for always being there. My good friend Sumin and Mr. Gu for his support. It is they who gave me the courage to be myself again and to chase my dreams." After the interview, Sumin pulled my hand and whispered, "Ju, I saw Guyan by coincidence yesterday. He was working as a waiter at a restaurant near the venue in his uniform, his hair a mess. When he saw our car, he hurried to hide in the back kitchen and wouldn't even lift his head." I gave a light smile and said indifferently, "Let him be. His life is his own choice." Sean nodded inside. To be honest, I used to hate him, but now I only feel pity and amusement for him. He was so glamorous back then, and now he has fallen to such a state. It's all his own doing. After staying in the country for half a month, I had several meals with the old man, walked around the streets we used to frequent with Suman, and even took Niani to the amusement park. The days were relaxed and pleasant. Gingi ran the domestic brand operations in an orderly manner, so I didn't have to worry at all. He even told me specifically, "Ju, rest assured, I will guard the Gu family and protect you and Nanchi, and I won't let anyone hurt you again." The day we left the country, The old man was reluctant to part with Nancy, giving her many gifts and holding my hand, saying, Ju, no matter where you decide to settle in the future, the Gu family will always be your home. You can come back anytime. Thank you, old man. My eyes grew hot as I nodded. Back in the overseas apartment, the sunshine was still warm, and she holds the toy given by the old man and plays on the carpet. Uncle Jang tends to the flowers in the yard. Aunt Lee is preparing dinner in the kitchen. I sit on the sofa, opening a new design draft, my heart filled with calm. In the evening, our whole family sits on the terrace balcony, eating dinner and watching the reddish clouds at the horizon. And she leans in my arms, pointing to the sunset sky, and says, Mom, the sunset is so beautiful. Let's be like this every day from now on. Okay, I lower my head and kiss her forehead, smiling. Okay, from now on, we'll be like this every day, happy and together. Uncle Jang looks at us and smiles. Madam, our days are getting better. Miss Nini is becoming more well-behaved and your career is so successful. That really is complete. Ali nodded along. Yes, we don't have to endure that anymore. From now on, good days lie ahead. I look at the family around me, my heart full of happiness. I used to be trapped in an unhappy marriage, thinking life would forever be dark and bleak. But now I have broken free, regained my dreams. There are people who love me. There is a career I am passionate about. And the years are gentle and everything is complete. As for Guanchen, he was like a speck of dust vanishing from my life, unable to stir up any more waves. His remorse, his downfall have nothing to do with me anymore. The evening breeze blew softly, carrying the scent of flowers. I know my life has already turned a new page. For the rest of my days, I will carry Shinshir, Uncle Zhang, and Aunt Lee in our little world with peace and joy, without a single worry, year after year, living the way I like most.